Free Throws, Friendship, and Other Things We Followed Up by Jenn Bishop. A First Chapter Friday read aloud video with the word nerd.
Today, as you listen, play along. Watch for the story quote that will appear on screen. Write it down, word by word, and then follow the instructions given to you by your teacher. Make sure you stick around all the way till the end to see if you've written it down correctly.
If you're in the mood for more basketball books this month, I've got you covered. Last Shot, Nikki on the Line, Crossover, Dragon Hoops, and this one. Game on and happy reading.
Hi, my name is Amanda Zieba. Welcome to my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd, and another First Chapter Friday video. This week, I'm going to be reading to you from Free Throws, Friendship, and Other Things We Followed Up. It's quite a long title, and so you can see I just have an abbreviated version there. Forgive me for that. I also ran out of F's, which is a common problem, especially with a title like this. But enough about the bad things, because there are so many good things I can tell you about this book. If you like basketball, if you like March Madness, if you like stories about friendship, if you like stories about family secrets, if you like stories from multiple points of view, you are going to love this story. I'm going to read you the inside blurb, and then I'm going to tell you a couple more things before we dive into the first chapter. Cincinnati, Ohio lives and dies by college basketball. With two elite Division I rivals separated by a mere 3 miles, Rory's dad just secured a new coaching gig at the University of Cincinnati. That's the Bearcats. So it means yet another school and move for her, only this time her dad's hometown. Rory's life revolves around basketball. She's never had a close friend outside of it. Could this be the chance for a fresh start? Abby has always lived in Cincinnati, where her dad grew up playing ball and now coaches at Xavier University. But Abby has recently retreated from basketball after a frustrating season that left her confidence in shambles. This year, she finds herself on the outside looking in when it comes to her former teammates, and she could seriously use a new friend. The coach's daughters connect over their shared love of the game when Abby chaperones Rory on her first day of school. But when Abby's dad practically forbids their friendship because of something that happened between him and Rory's dad when they were younger, Abby and Rory have no choice but to move their budding friendship underground. Can the two of them get to the bottom of what went down between their dads in the 1990s before history repeats itself? In addition to being an awesome story, there are so many visually stimulating and great pieces of this story. The end papers are like basketball textured, and then the beginning of each chapter has the chapter, the March Madness bracket, the character's name. Every once in a while, we'll get a little update like 104 days until March Madness. So this makes it like the perfect book to read this time of year. One thing I will tell you that was a little bit tricky even for me. The main characters are Abby and Rory. Okay, so we've got their 2 points of view, and those stories are being told in the present. And then we've got their dads, Nick and Jason, and they also each narrate a few chapters, or it's from their perspective. It's a third person story, but it is looking through the eyes of Jason and Nick, and those are in the 90s. And so we bounce back and forth between 4 characters in 2 different time periods, but they all live in Cincinnati and they all are connected to basketball, and it's like so much the same, but also some differences. So I would recommend, if you were reading this book, to just like have a couple post-it notes or a chart and have it Abby, Rory, Jason, Nick. You can tell whose dad is who, where they coach, who's the new girl, who's a great player, who's nervous. And I think it will help you keep track of the storyline. That being said, it's an amazing storyline. I was sucked in from the moment I started, and hopefully you will be too. So let's dig in. Oh, and also Jenn Bishop. Jenn Bishop is the author. We're going to start with chapter 1, which is from Rory's perspective, and there are 104 days until March Madness. My dad always says you can fall in love with any place if you try hard enough. But I don't know. Can I really fall in love with a city that puts chili on top of spaghetti? A city with 2 professional teams historically known best for losing? To be fair, I have yet to eat this chili or see the Reds or Bengals play, though Grandpa promises he'll take me to Paycor Stadium soon. Still. Now, what did I tell you, kid? Grandpa asks as we idle in his truck outside my new school in Cincinnati. Don't make friends with Xavier fans. That's my girl, Grandpa says. Back in New Haven, my old school looked like Hogwarts, ancient and gothic with ivy creeping up the walls, but this one just looks boring and new. 3 stories, all brick with a glass addition off the side that looked interesting at first, but now that we're closer, I'm pretty sure it's just the cafeteria. You're a march. Grandpa's head nearly brushes the ceiling as he gives me an encouraging smile. You've got this. And even though I'm still wondering if I chose the right outfit, despite my trying on 5 before this one, and worrying that I didn't get placed in the correct math level, basketball stats aren't the only numbers I like to crunch, I muster a confident smile and tell my grandpa, I got this. Judy will be here for you at 3. Can't wait to hear how it went, kid. A fellow 8th grader named Kellen is supposed to greet me at the front door. Making my way through the courtyard, I notice a red-haired girl sitting all alone under a birch tree. The morning light makes her hair practically glow. It's the kind of thing my mom would stop and photograph. Well, if she were here. The text Mom sent a few minutes ago burns a hole in my pocket. Let me know how it goes today. Miss you, Roar. Parks and Rec tonight? Mom and I started watching Parks and Recreation 3 years ago when an ice storm left us stuck in Greensboro, North Carolina for a whole week after a tournament with nothing to do. At first, Mom wasn't sure it was appropriate for a 5th grader, but I reminded her how many curse words I hear from the sidelines, never mind how many people are always telling me I'm mature for my age. Do other only children get told that all the time, or just me? By the time we finally make it home, we were deep in season 3, and in the months that followed, we squeezed in an episode or 2, okay, sometimes 5, whenever we could. Those evenings when Dad was out of town or working late were perfect for Parks and Rec binges. He jokingly complained that Leslie Knope was too chipper for his taste. I'd like to see her coach a season of college basketball. But it's okay that Dad doesn't like the show. Dad and I have plenty in common. Basketball, of course, but also an intense work ethic, that March stubborn streak, and unfortunately the most sunburn prone skin on the planet. Parks and Rec was something special just for me and Mom. Our cozy escape from the real world. Our home, even if our actual house and home city were always changing. But now they're changing again, only this time it's just me who did the moving, and it's all Mom's fault. If you want to know how it goes that badly, you should have moved here too, I want to reply. But I can't even type it. It's easier to write nothing back at all and let her think I'm too busy. Standing on the front steps, surrounded by a group of girls with their hair in all kinds of braids, fishtail, boxed, cornrows, you name it, is a sporty looking white girl in a sky blue polo with her blonde hair in 2 French braids. She calls out, Coach Marsh's daughter? Yeah, I answer. It would have been nice to be called by my actual name, but I can't be too surprised. Dad's a famous college basketball coach. It happens. I'm Rory, well, technically Aurora, but nobody calls me that. Sorry, I didn't know if you had a nickname. I'm Kellen, she says, smiling extra wide. Her eyebrows are darker than her hair. I wonder if she dyed it. Mom talked about doing something fun when I got my next haircut, but how fun can it be to dye my hair over FaceTime? Some things, okay, a lot of things, are just better in person. The bell rings, and the girls around Kellen scatter. I'll introduce you to everyone at lunch. We're all on the basketball team. You play, right? You could say that. It's why I chose to come to Cincinnati with Dad. He found a school here with a great basketball team and facilities, and that quickly I was sold. Coming here was the easiest choice for me and for basketball, though they're basically one and the same. I follow Kellen inside. What's your position? I ask. I'm a forward. You? A guard. I love running the point, but I'm flexible. The whole walk to homeroom, Kellen and I talk hoops, and for a few minutes my first day jitters melt away. I've just finished telling her about my old travel team back in Connecticut when we reach the door. Well, she says, this is you. My homeroom's down the hall, but hey, if I don't see you before lunch, come and find me in the cafeteria. I sit by the windows. You might think this girl's a little too eager to be my friend, but that's the thing about being Coach March's daughter. No matter where I land, it's never hard to fall in with the basketball girls. Sounds good, I say, letting Kellen go. My homeroom teacher's bald head has that pinkish glow dads get after a day at the beach. He straightens his rumpled button down and gives the Steph Curry bobblehead on his desk a tap. Rory March! I'm Mr. Gorecki, your homeroom teacher. And a Warriors fan? I ask. You bet, he says. Nice to meet you. Now the bell will ring within a minute, followed by the morning announcements and the pledge, but after that I'll introduce you to the crew, okay? Sure. All it takes is one kid noticing me, a boy in a blue Xavier Musketeers hoodie. Uh-oh. And suddenly, it's a domino effect. Everyone's curious about the new kid. On my other first days, Mom was there to give me a good look over. But would Grandpa even notice if I have toothpaste on my shirt? Not unless it's a Xavier shirt. I glance down. No breakfast crumbs, and check my sneakers. No toilet paper. So far, so good. Another bell rings and the loudspeaker crackles. Some overcaffeinated students try to get us psyched about auditions for the school play as I run my eyes over my new classmates. Or wait, maybe my forever classmates? Dad has been coveting the University of Cincinnati head coach job for as long as I can remember, and now it's finally his. These might be the kids I spend the next 5 years with, the kids I graduate with. The thought of actually staying put for once makes my brain hurt. Could this city become my home, like my permanent home? The only place that's ever felt like home for me is Pawnee, Indiana, from Parks and Recs, which sounds ridiculous, I know. The girl who's lived in glittery Las Vegas, the girl who just lived a quick train ride from New York City, she thinks her home is a made up town in the middle of nowhere from a TV show? It doesn't make any sense unless you stop and think about what home really is: community, people, family. My life up until now has been a big game of musical chairs, but what if this is it, the spot I really land? My Pawnee, my home. Hey, it's okay, Mr. Gorecki says, noticing a change in my expression. First days are tough for everyone. I'm not worried. The squeakiness in my voice betrays me. It's not that I'm nervous exactly, just that this is so different from what I'm used to. Rewind to a week ago, and I didn't even know I was moving to Cincinnati. Dad had been flying back and forth on weekends, which probably sounds weird, but it isn't that strange for a college coach with access to a charter jet. I had no idea my parents were separating, and I for sure didn't anticipate getting to choose which one to live with. Choose. I'm really starting to like that word. Originally, I was supposed to fly out Sunday and start school next Monday. But when I realized the rivalry game was this weekend, I begged and pleaded to have my flight rearranged to be here in time for the big game. Getting away from Mom a few days ahead of schedule was just an added bonus. During the Pledge of Allegiance, I tally 8 light blue Xavier hoodies and exactly 0 red Cincinnati ones. Does Dad know he enrolled me in enemy territory? I might be new here, but Grandpa has schooled me plenty on the University of Cincinnati Xavier rivalry. Mr. Gorecki clears his throat, and all the eyes shift back to me. As I mentioned yesterday, we have a new student joining us. Rory's come from Connecticut, and I hope you'll give her a warm welcome. Show her how we do things in the Queen City. In the Nasty Natty, a short, skinny kid with dirty blonde hair and freckles snickers into his hand. He's wearing an Xavier hoodie, too. Of course. That's not my favorite nickname for the city, Mr. Gorecki says, but okay. Can I have a volunteer to show Rory around the first couple days? Not a single hand budges. Sorry, Mr. Gorecki says. Thought for sure we'd have plenty of volunteers. I accidentally lock eyes with a super tall, red-headed girl. Is she the same one who was sitting all by herself under the tree? And wait, is she also wearing a Xavier hoodie? Timidly, she reaches up her hand. Thank you, Abby, Mr. Gorecki says. I take the open seat by the window, and when he's done with attendance, I make my way over to her. Thanks for volunteering as tribute, I joke. I can hardly be picky. Wait, now I've got to die for you? I just thought I had to show you around school. Death, school, practically the same. Truth, she says, gesturing for my schedule. Okay, so first off, History with Mr. Azari. Hey, looks like you're in all my classes except for French. Yeah, sorry, you're basically stuck with Hayden Decker, Nasty Natty all day too. I'm not sure how he got admitted to our school, but his mom's a top executive at Procter and Gamble, so she must have pulled some strings. Sorry, am I talking too much? Sometimes I do that. Okay, maybe I do that all the time. This girl cracks me up. There's no way she was all by herself this morning. That must have been somebody else. We walk down the hall until we reach a door with a Hamilton poster on it. Everyone calls him Mr. Z, even though his name begins with an I, she explains. There's an empty seat by mine. This classroom has yoga balls instead of seats. That quickly, Mr. Z is my favorite teacher. You probably get asked this a lot, I say, mentally crossing my fingers. Asked what? Do you play basketball? My face must sink when she shakes her head because she adds, Don't get me wrong, I love basketball. Watching it though. Have you ever wondered if you were born in the wrong body? I think maybe I was supposed to be short, but somehow I ended up in a tall person's body and my brain still hasn't gotten used to the signals. Let's put it this way. I walk into doors a lot. Like a lot, a lot. She points to a bruise on her left arm. That's a thing? It is when you're me. And yes, I have fallen off these chairs before. She grins. I don't know what it is about her, only I can't help grinning back, even if she is a Xavier fan. So what if she doesn't play? Leslie Knope and Ann Perkins don't have everything in common, and they're best friends. Maybe it's a sign. If you want to find out what happens next to Rory and Abby and their dads and their basketball teams and March Madness, you're definitely going to want to pick up a copy of Free Throws, Friendships, and Other Things We Followed Up by Jenn Bishop. It is a real treat, especially for the basketball fans. All right, that's it for this first chapter Friday. I hope you'll come back and join me again. I'll see you next time. Happy reading.
To continue reading Free Throws, Friendship, and Other Things We've Followed Up by Jenn Bishop, pick up a copy from your school library, purchase one from your favorite local indie bookstore, or grab it via the link in the description box. Then don't forget, I've got more great basketball books waiting for you on the playlist. I have a special March Madness playlist that I will be sure to link in the bottom. And then, as always, be sure to check out the full playlist. I've got more than 150 middle grade and young adult novel first chapter Fridays there waiting for you. This week's mystery quote says, "Imagine how good you could be if you're not just kind of confident." Thanks so much for visiting my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd. I hope you come back again for more First Chapter Fridays, direct teaching videos, brain breaks, and more. I'll see you again next time. Happy reading.